The member for Calville.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I move that the 91st report of the Public Works Committee for the 54th Parliament entitled Elizabeth North Primary School Redevelopment be noted. The Elizabeth North Primary School Redevelopment Project will be delivering a total school enrolment capacity of 700 places by 2022. The proposed scope of works for the primary school redevelopment includes the provision of two new permanent modular buildings. This will include general learning areas, surface learning areas, a breakout space, teacher preparation areas, withdrawal rooms, student and disability access amenities and a sensory room. The project will also include the demolition of aged transportable classrooms on the school site. Elizabeth North Primary School was allocated funding of $5 million as part of the Department for Education's Capital Works program announced in October 2017. In October 2019, the State Government approved the Elizabeth North Primary School Capital Works project to be delivered as part of a modular education facilities program. The Public Works Committee did receive, Mr Speaker, written and oral evidence in relation to the project, and the committee is satisfied that the proposal has been subject to the appropriate agency consultation and meets the criteria for the examination of projects as described in the Parliamentary Committees Act of 1991. And based on the evidence considered and pursuant to Section 12C of the Parliamentary Committees Act 1991, the Public Works Committee recommends to Parliament that the proposed scope of works be approved.
The Minister for Education.
Thank you, sir. I'm really pleased to be able to reflect on the outstanding work being done at Elizabeth North Primary School, both throughout the school year and indeed as part of this program. We have a $5 million build underway, which we're looking forward to being completed during the course of this year and hopefully in use. We definitely want it to be in use by the beginning of next year, but I'm optimistic, sir, that it will indeed be in use well before the end of this school year. New modular facilities, as the member for Calville described, and just to reflect briefly on this, since the extraordinary investment, the $1.3 billion record school infrastructure build that has been underway now, and indeed the first one of these projects completed at the beginning of this year from this schedule at Lefevre High. Since the beginning of this project, one of its impacts has been a significant number of new investments in modular facilities. These are not the old transportables of the 1950s, 1960s and 1970s that are indeed a bit of an eyesore in many cases across our education facilities in South Australia. These modern modular facilities are extraordinarily user-friendly. They are excellent spaces. They are large classrooms. They are indeed also science labs and drama spaces and dance spaces. They are very flexible in what can be created as a result of the technologies now being used in delivering the modular facilities. Sir, in your own electorate, we know the impact that some of these modern modulars have had at the Eastern Fleurieu School since their delivery in the last year and a half or so. And indeed, I was pleased to see that as part of the broader program, more of these modular facilities delivered at Eastern Fleurieu just this week, which are now being plumbed in. The benefits of the modern modular facilities, where they are appropriate to be used, are significant because, of course, they are cheaper in many cases than a traditional brick-and-mortar build. They are now, as a result of this investment, seeing a significant number of new jobs here in South Australia, as indeed South Australian companies, Oscos, Sarah Constructions and others, and other investments in South Australia to build the capacity to build these modules. The price of the modulars is coming down, but the quality is significant. They're not appropriate for all schools, and we're not trying to impose them on all schools, but there are opportunities in a number of the schools where we have building works for these modular facilities to provide the school with much more than they would have otherwise been able to get. There's also advantages, of course, to the manufacture off-site and then delivery on-site, because it means that the disruption to the school that can happen while a school infrastructure program is underway, that time is reduced significantly. Rather than a section of the school where the building is going up being potentially unusable for the school for 2 terms or more, indeed, some of the modular facilities are able to be delivered on site, and then the work's done on site within 6 to 8 weeks potentially, or potentially even less, depending on the individual circumstance. It's still a good outcome for South Australian jobs because, of course, in the modular construction industry itself there are jobs, and then there are many jobs for local tradies in doing the work on site as those facilities are being delivered. And that's certainly going to be the case at Elizabeth North Primary School. I'd like to congratulate the architects, Das Studio and Fleetwood Australia, who are the builders in this case, the principal, Graham Wood, and the school leadership team. The school's governing council are, of course, doing terrific work for the 608 students that they have at the school now. It's a high-demand school in the area. That capacity will grow as a result of this set of building works, but indeed we are also seeing the demolition and the removal of some of that aged infrastructure and its replacement with these world-class modern facilities, and I can't wait to see them in action.
Member for Carville speaks. He closes debate. The member for Carville.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and I acknowledge the contribution of the Minister for Education. Refer to my earlier remarks emphasising the extraordinary capital works program that he's seen through, not just in relation to Elizabeth North, but right across the state. And I also wish to emphasise and record our thanks for the work of Graham Wood, Principal, and the Governing Council to see this project through.
The question before the House is that the 91st report of the Public Works Committee entitled Elizabeth North Primary School Redevelopment be noted. Is that seconded? I'll put it at once. Those of the opinion say aye. Against say no. It's carried. The Clerk.